to Live to Pause Impact, Houston's first radio show dedicated to people living with HIV, their friends and family, on Real Talk 100 Radio. Hold on, guys. Alright, we are back. So again, I'm your host. I use he, him pronouns, and we have a lot of information to go. We're going to start off with. We have our guest Carlo that is here with us. He's going to be talking about the immune system and how vitamins and minerals are important to us, as well as we'll just cover several topics as well too. And but before we start, I would like to say a thank you to several people who have donated to Thomas Street, our Thanksgiving meal. We have a couple of high-level donors and political people who have come to the rescue at the last minute, and we just would like to thank them for their support towards making sure that Thomas Street has the Thanksgiving meal planned feast available, because we're going to be feeding around 400 people who are living with HIV. This may be their only meal that they have. This may be the only Thanksgiving meal that they ever receive for the whole hot meal. And so it really is pretty important to continue to host it. And so we're thankful that we were able to donate. We had 28 turkeys delivered to our caterer, who it came at the last minute, because our old caterer, who has been doing this for a while, all of a sudden suffered a massive heart attack. And so who you come as a nonprofit, who you're trying to feed 400 people, it's a huge task. So huge shout out to our caterer who came out there. But Mark Flores, he's a candidate running for U.S. Congress, Texas 18. He donated towards our event. Also, Eric B. Dick, he's a candidate running for At-Large 5. He donated towards the Thanksgiving event as well. And Councilman Rodney Ellis, he has also going to be donating some pies to us. We came to him at the last minute, and he has been in touch with us, and he has been awesome towards this, as well as Mike Knox. He has donated, as well as Michael Kurosh. And so those are the people who we have reached. Several different political people, and these are the people who responded. And it's not about a political affiliation or who you're with. It's supporting people who are living with HIV, that this may be their only meal that they receive. Our council members really appreciate, and I'm sure they are welcome to come. So it's November 26th. It starts at 9 a.m. in the morning, and it goes all the way until 1:30, and we're going to be feeding about 400 people. So we need to start, we need to prep. It just takes it's a very long day on this day. So it's a Tuesday before Thanksgiving. If you would like to participate in this, please contact us, and we will be happy to assist, and we can give you directions on where to come, and if you'd like to volunteer with us. So with that being said, I really do want to thank our listeners for tuning in. We have an amazing show coming up. We're going to be talking with Carlo about supplements and living with HIV, and what we can do to boost our immune system as people living with HIV, and just in general as well too. So if you didn't catch our show the last time, Carlo was with us from the beginning. He was one of our first or second guests on Pause Impact, and we are so thankful that he decided to come back and come back on our show to explain to our listeners, because we got such a great it was like one of our first episodes or second episodes, and we got such great feedback, and I wanted to make sure we could record this so we can upload it to YouTube, since we do have a YouTube channel. And so in case you guys are if you missed our show, or if you're catching this show at a later time, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do have various videos on there already. We have about 10 videos on YouTube. So please check us out. We have different politicians and candidates running for office. You get to hear their issues regarding the people living with HIV, and and we just ask them just general conversations, and we just have an open, frank discussion about just about anything. We had people who are domestically assaulted, and they may not think, men and female, who would not fit the criteria per se. People was like, oh, how are you being sexually assaulted with, like you deserve it, or all these misjudgments behind that. Please check our YouTube channel so you can find all the great information that we have on there. So without further ado, I would like to go ahead and welcome our guest again to Pause Impact. We have moved since he has been on our show, but he's a very good friend of mine, so let me just go ahead and put that out there. And we are very welcome to we're very excited to be able to have a refresher on what we discussed the last time. So anyways, Carlo, go ahead and introduce yourself, and let's start.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, thanks for having me on again. I think the first show we did, actually the first half got cut off, which essentially the first half was the more important half. So hopefully tonight we can get through an entire show. But basically what we're going to talk about is ways in which you can improve your immune system, specifically with certain supplements. And I picked essentially my top 10 immune boosting supplements. And I know people living with HIV are always concerned with, keeping good care of themselves and taking supplements. And
sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. but in general, I think people with HIV are knowledgeable about certain supplements and certain just kind of lifestyle things you can do to improve your immune system, because obviously maintaining your immune system is very important when you have HIV.
Okay, round two.
Okay.
All right, we are live again with Carlo. So we have mic check there real quick.
Right.
But we're back.
All right. Did anybody hear me?
No, nobody heard you.
Nobody heard me. All right. Here we go. This is now officially the start.
Yes, this is the start of Pause Impact, Houston's first radio show dedicated to people living with HIV, their friends and family. So again, sorry for the little mishap, but Carlo, take it away now again.
All right. Okay. Here we go. I just talked for 5 minutes and nobody heard me. All right. Well, thank you for having me again. The last time I was on your other location, we talked about supplements specific to your immune system. And I know this is a big topic for patients with HIV because, boosting your immune system or just keeping it healthy is critical to avoid, getting infections, ending up in the hospital. So there's a lot of things you can do to boost your immune system, sleep, adequate nutrition, mitigating your stress, relaxation, etc. But then there's also a lot of supplements out there. Some good, some not so good, some that have questionable effectiveness. But I picked my top 10 supplements to boost your immune system, and the way I chose them was basically evidence-based. I'm a physician. I'm not a clinical nutritionist. I'm an emergency physician, but I have a special interest in nutrition and supplements. So as a physician, I like evidence, and so the top 10 that I recommend have a lot of research to back them. And then there's a whole host of other supplements out there that may or may not work, that have been around for a long time. I just don't recommend them because they don't have any kind of research backing them. Like for example, ginseng or garlic or coconut oil, omega-3s. All these are kind of used to boost your immune system, but they don't necessarily have a lot of research backing them. So the ones we're going to talk about are the ones that are evidence-based and proven to work for the immune system.
I like evidence-based.
Absolutely.
Especially in the world that we're living in.
Exactly, where half the things on the internet are not true,
yeah.
and you just don't know. So it's good to always back things up with facts and evidence and research. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead. I'm excited about this round too because I had a lot of people. I think the last time that I had was Pat Pullins was on our show. She had so many questions, and she was saying how she had all these vitamins, but she really didn't think that she had to take them. And so, if you're listening to our show and you're thinking about you have these vitamins and you have these supplements at your house that you're not taking, or that maybe you have bought at a pharmacy place like a Walmart or a Target, those are really are not good supplements, right? I mean, can we talk about that? Just
Yeah,
I think we're
let's just kind of talk
about like
in
the
general
basic,
about
yeah.
supplements. There's a lot of junk out there, and typically you shouldn't get your supplements from CVS, Walgreens, GNC.
But why though?
Well, because they're just inferior brands, and when you have an inferior brand, number one, you don't know if what you're supposed to be getting, you're actually getting, meaning the dosage. You don't know if the supplements are tainted with pesticides, heavy metals, and then you don't know if their particular formulation is even absorbable. So there's just a lot of junk out there. Obviously the best way is to go to a clinical nutritionist and they can recommend certain things. But generally, if you go to somewhere like Whole Foods, they have decent supplements. And in general, you should look for a stamp that says GMP. G is in George, M is in Mary, P is in Paul.
GMP.
Yeah, good manufacturing practices. It's a stamp of approval that tells you that the particular supplement has been tested both for purity and for dosaging. So it's always a good thing to look for. But in general, not all supplements are created equal. And so you really got to be careful what you're actually taking, because supplements get a bad rap because people think it's just junk and you're wasting your time. Well, if you're taking the wrong supplement, then yeah, that's true. But there's also a lot of very good supplements. And as we talk about my top 10, I'm going to give recommendations for particular brands and for dosing. But all these supplements we're going to talk about work to varying degrees on the immune system, either at the DNA level itself or boosting immune cell's ability to replicate, or in certain cases, a couple of the last ones we're talking about, which are herbs, they actually block the ability for like the cold and flu virus to enter into your cells. So there's many different mechanisms by which these supplements work, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
So if you listen to us, I mean, this is the flu season, and so my sister has a cold at the moment, and I have been lucky that I have just rejected the flu shot for the last year,
Mm-hmm.
and under my doctor's approval, of course.
Sure.
But she's like, as long as you're not sick, I'm okay with you not getting it.
Right.
And I have not gotten it. I have not gotten sick. But beyond that, we do have a lot of people that do get sick frequently and don't want to be put on antibiotics or.
Correct.
So if you are sick already, are these supplements effective beforehand, or are they like you should just start taking them so that it's a preventative and not a retroactive type of measure?
Right, and that's a very good question. So most of these supplements you can take before for prevention, or you can take them if you get the flu or a cold. You can use them in both ways. Some they only really work to prevent, and we'll go into which ones are good for prevention and which ones are good to actually take while you're sick. And this is actually a good time to have this talk because
Yes.
the flu season is starting. I'm already seeing a ton of cases of flu B for some reason. So this talk is we got the perfect time to talk because
Yeah,
we're
I think
entering
so as well too, yes.
into the flu season. So and then just quickly to mention about the flu vaccine. I'm not gonna. That's a whole nother conversation. To have, but you're right. Sir, a lot of people don't like to get the flu vaccine, and that's their choice. And quite honestly, it's really only 50% effective. So even if you get it, you still need to supplement to boost your immune system, because you can still get the flu if you get the vaccine. A lot of people don't realize that. I think
it's only so it's like a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, I mean the last year's I think was 48% effective, or maybe the year before, I can't remember, but it's about 50%. So it's not a foolproof measure. I mean, I don't think anybody out there would be okay with buying a new car and with an airbag that only works 50% of the time, right? You're gonna want 100% protection from a front end impact. Same thing with the flu. You're gonna want 100% protection. It's short of wearing a mask, around all the time. There's other things you can do, and supplementing is one of them, and the flu vaccine is the other.
So you recommend a vaccine plus supplements, and the vaccine is helpful for some people. I do understand this, and I am a weird case, and I'm not saying I'm an anti-vaccine person, because I've had all my vaccines. I have all my shots regular. I just got a tetanus shot not that long ago.
Yeah.
But it's just that one flu shot that I'm just like, I just know as in my body that I will get sick, and I just don't have the time. But I think if I would take the supplements as well too, maybe it would like a counter effect it, the type of thing.
You mean your reaction to the vaccine?
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I mean it's the supplements are meant to supplement or augment the vaccine. My point is the vaccine is only 50% effective, so you got to do something else in addition to the vaccine to boost your immune system, especially for people living with HIV, because that's what this talk is about.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So having said that, let's kind of dive in.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
lead the way. I don't have my Mac in front of me. It's severe injury.
Yeah, that's
okay. That's at the store at the moment, getting.
That's okay, but you've been to the lecture the first time, or the talk the first time, so you should remember some of these. But
hopefully.
So let's go into my and these are ranked 1 through 10. Number 1 being the most important.
Yeah.
But number 1, any talk of the immune system's got to start with vitamin D, and it's called vitamin D. It's really a hormone. It's not a vitamin, but. Vitamin D, over 50% of chemical reactions in your body require vitamin D. It's obviously involved in a lot of things: bone, heart health, cancer prevention, but also immune health. Your T cells specifically rely on vitamin D to get activated. They have your immune cells have vitamin D receptors on them, and when vitamin D binds to these receptors, it activates the immune cell, causing the cell to divide and replicate and multiply. And without vitamin D, your immune cells literally can't proliferate to fight infection. So vitamin D is very closely tied to the immune system. It was initially thought to be just involved in bone formation, but then we realized, it's involved in cancer, and it's involved in heart disease, and it's involved in the immune system. So it's an incredibly important nutrient, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And probably the most important for your immune system.
So that's your number 1.
That's my number 1.
That's your number
1. Yeah. And a lot of these vitamins we're talking about, you can measure your blood levels, and vitamin D is probably the most important to know. So you really, I really suggest before you start taking a vitamin supplement to get your levels checked. And you kind of want to be in the 50 to 75 nanomoles per liter range, and for cancer prevention they even say 90 to 120. But once you get your levels, then you can start supplementing appropriately. And a good way to calculate it out is 100 IU per kilogram body weight. So basically, if you
what's IU? 100 IU?
Yeah, 100 IU. So vitamin D is measured in IUs, the supplemental vitamin D, not the.
And these tests are not done at your regular route. Like I can just go to my doctor and say, hey, can you test me for my vitamin D level?
Yeah, of course. It's a very common test that PCPs do. It's a very routine test nowadays. So that's a very important thing, because people out there don't realize how low their vitamin D level can get, especially if their diet is poor, they don't go out in the sun a lot, they work indoors a lot, on their computer. And it's kind of almost like an epidemic nowadays of low vitamin D. I can't tell you how many people I have them check their vitamin D levels, and they're like, close to zero.
Really?
I'm just kidding, not close to zero, but very, very, very low. And that predisposes them to all sorts of stuff.
But what causes the low vitamin D level?
Well, again, it's multifactorial, but it's today's lifestyle. People don't go outside anymore and get sun. And if they do get sun, it's through a window with tinting, that blocks out the UVB rays that activate vitamin D in your skin. And then the diet. You can get vitamin D from your diet, things like fatty fish, liver, etc. But we don't eat a lot of that stuff. So we don't get a lot of it in the diet. We don't go out in the sun a lot. Consequently, people just end up with low vitamin D, and they don't even know it. And then that predisposes them to cancer or heart disease.
What would be a way that you would find, like, low energy or a tiredness, or you just wouldn't know unless you went to your doctor?
You wouldn't know.
Okay.
You wouldn't know. I mean, you might be generally tired just from just a poor diet in general, but more than likely, if that's the case, all your nutrients are going to be low. So for vitamin D, you definitely want to test it, and then a good starting point to supplement is 100 IUs per kilogram body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilos, then you're going to require 10,000 IUs per day. And ideally, you want to divide it in divided doses, 2 or 3 doses. I do 2 doses, morning and evening. All my supplements, not just the vitamin D. But then, if you're sick, you can then give your immune system a boost by taking extra vitamin D. So, for example, you can do your current regimen, but then when you get sick, like you get a cold, you get the flu, you can do 50,000 IUs of vitamin D for, like 3 to 7 days. You don't want to do that too long because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that can become toxic. So you don't want to ingest those high levels for an extended period of time. But for a week, you can do 50,000 IU and then go back down to your 10,000. So that's a good way to do it for both prevention of cold and flu, and if you catch a cold or flu, that's a good way to treat it with high dose vitamin D for about a week.
Nice. That's good to know, because we are getting that flu area at the moment where we're getting sick constantly, So it's good to know that we can. I'm gonna tell my sister too. She's good.
Yeah, and a good company. There's several companies I'll mention. Pure Encapsulations out of, I believe, Massachusetts is a very good company. They make very good supplements, and their vitamin D supplement is very good. If you don't like taking pills, there's also you can buy these tabletop fluorescent lamps that you just sit in front of them for 5 or 10 minutes a day with your shirt off, and that'll produce a lot of vitamin D. There's one by a company called Sperti, Sperti. You can get it on Amazon. You can get anything on Amazon.
Yeah, not these days.
And it's a lamp that it's about I don't know, 1.5 feet by 3 feet, and you just kind of turn it on, take your shirt off, sit in front of it, and you can produce some good vitamin D like that. That's if you don't like taking pills,
That's interesting to know, because I'm not. I mean, I get a lot of vitamin D with the sun exposure already, and maybe that's why I don't really get sick that often.
Could be, yeah.
Because I get a lot of sun. Like, I'm out in the sun constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, your vitamin D levels might be fine, or they might be low. Like you just
don't know. So I am going to ask my doctor the next time I go and see her. I'm like, hey, I want my vitamin D level checked.
Yeah, and you can even go to any lab test now.
Oh, yeah?
Without a prescription, and you can just order whatever lab test you want. So you can do your vitamin D level that way.
That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
All right, so what's your number 2?
Number 2, and it's a close second, it's vitamin C.
Okay.
Vitamin C, it kind of functions in 2 different ways. It's an antioxidant, and everybody knows vitamin C as an antioxidant, right? And its antioxidant properties kind of protect white blood cells, because when white blood cells fight infection, they produce all these toxic byproducts, and the antioxidant activity of vitamin C kind of neutralizes that. But then vitamin C also stimulates, you know, the production of many different types of white blood cells. It stimulates the production of antibodies, which help fight infections, and then it also stimulates the production of a protein called cathelicidin, which has natural antibiotic properties. So it functions in many different ways in relation to the immune system. Also, you know, it has a ton of research associated with it. Both vitamin D and vitamin C have a ton of research over the years, you know, proving its effectiveness. You know, vitamin C has been shown to decrease the incidence, the duration and severity of cold and flu. So it's very well studied. And for example, you know, one study showed a reduction in the cold duration of 59% fewer days of people who supplemented versus placebo. 59% fewer days sick, which is crazy. It's very effective. Now, there's a trick to vitamin C. To get this immune boosting effect, you have to take very large doses. And most people take ascorbic acid, which is the typical vitamin C, and you take more than, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 milligrams, and I think everybody's experienced it. You get abdominal cramps and diarrhea. It's not very pleasant. Kind of defeats the purpose of taking vitamin C. But you can take buffered vitamin C, which is this ascorbic acid, which is bound to either like a calcium ion or sodium ion, and that gives you calcium or sodium ascorbate, which is like the calcium or sodium salt of the vitamin C. That's how it's buffered, right? And maybe that was a little bit too much chemistry for people, but basically buffered vitamin C you can take 10 times as much. It will also eventually cause diarrhea, but you can take much higher doses. So for example, I take 12 grams, 6,000 milligrams twice a day.
Wow.
Of buffered vitamin C.
Wow.
What I take is from a company called Nutribiotic, and it's sodium ascorbate powder. I get it on Amazon. Some supplements aren't available on Amazon, but a lot of good ones are. This is the one I take. Doesn't give me any GI side effects. So it's something that you can take indefinitely. Vitamin C isn't something that, I mean, you can, you know, quote unquote overdose on it when you're sick, and yeah, that'll work, but it has so many other functions in the body, particularly its antioxidant properties, that it's something that you can just supplement with indefinitely, regardless of whether you're sick or not. You can make it part of your routine to boost your immune system and get all the other health benefits.
Just by taking some vitamin C.
Yep.
So vitamin D, vitamin C, a close second.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, I'm glad we're having this talk again, because maybe I'm gonna live up to my thing that I said the last time.
Which was?
And purchase some of these vitamins.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cause
yeah. Once you get in the habit of taking them, then it becomes routine. You know. So anyway, so vitamin C, that's my close second, and then number 3. Should we move on to number 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And this is also, these are probably the top 3. And then go ahead.
I was gonna say, so vitamin C. When I think of vitamin C, I think of of a cold, or if I'm sick, if I'm feeling like a flu, I'm gonna like overdose on vitamin C. I really don't think vitamin D for the flu, which is crazy. I just wanted to kind of like throw that kind of in, because I wouldn't think of vitamin D for the flu.
Exactly.
But that's like your number one top choice. So if you're listening to listeners.
Yeah, it's vitamin. You can quote unquote overdose on vitamin D when you're sick, like we talked about with a much
50,
higher 50,000 for a week. Obviously, if you take 50,000 IUs per week, you're eventually gonna get toxic vitamin D levels. But for a week while you're sick, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so my number 3 is zinc. But zinc, again, just like vitamin C, you have to take the right form, and people don't realize this. But zinc it acts differently than vitamin C in that it acts more at the DNA level, and that's how it kind of activates all sorts of different immune cells, B and T cells, neutrophils, natural killer cells, macrophages. All these different immune cells are activated by zinc, and again, zinc acts kind of directly on the DNA to turn these cells on, so to speak. Again, there's been a ton of research on zinc.
And is zinc a capsule or?
So you mean what form it comes in?
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, it's well either a tablet or a capsule.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, the correct form is very important. So zinc picolinate, gluconate, and citrate are the three that are highly absorbable. Unfortunately, a lot of people take zinc sulfate, which is sunscreen. That's the type of zinc that's sold at CVS. You know, people are buying zinc at CVS when they're sick, thinking they're doing the right thing, and it's
they're buying sunscreen.
They're ingesting sunscreen. Yeah, and it hardly any gets absorbed. So that's what I mean.
So repeat the top three again on the mic. That way our listeners can.
So it's zinc picolinate,
yeah,
gluconate, and citrate are the forms that are highly absorbable.
And if you don't find them, don't buy them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, try and look for them. Yes. It's not like they're hard to find, but just don't take something like zinc sulfate. So remember the form of the zinc is very important.
And what form is the bad form?
Well, so zinc sulfate.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
So zinc is going to be bound to different carrier proteins.
Oh, okay.
And if it's bound to sulfate,
it
won't get absorbed. It's good for sunscreen, and I suppose you can break open the capsule and use it to prevent sunburn, but to increase your blood levels of zinc, it's not going to work. So my point is just make sure you get the right form of zinc. So, and then also, so the dosing, again, this is something that you can take to boost your immune system when you're not sick, and then you can kind of quote-unquote overdose on it when you are sick to give your immune system a little boost.
How much of an overdose can you take?
So daily, you can take 25 milligrams, ideally in divided doses, 2 divided doses. But when you get sick, you can go up to like 100 milligrams for a few days. And a company makes a lot of very good minerals. It's called Biotics Research. And they have a zinc supplement that's really good, very highly absorbable.
On Amazon. Amazon, if you're listening to this, you want to advertise on my show, contact me.
But zinc, a lot of evidence that it decrease, again, just like vitamin C and vitamin D, decreases the duration, severity, the incidence of cold and flus. So it's definitely up there. So those are my top 3, and the other 7 also are backed by a lot of research. They're not as well known, so now we're starting to get into some supplements that maybe are a little bit more exotic for the average person, and maybe a little bit pricey, but I'm going to include them because they work and they have research backing them. So the next one, and you may or may not have heard of it, and it's called colostrum. So have you ever heard of it?
No, I mean I heard about it.
The last
time.
Yeah.
I've never heard about it before then.
Right, exactly. So basically, what it is, it's a breast fluid produced by humans and cows and other mammals before the actual breast milk is released, providing nourishment for newborns for like the first 24 to 48 hours. And it contains a lot of macronutrients, vitamins, minerals. It's also high in growth factors, which modulate the immune system. It also contains a high concentration of antibodies, specifically IgA and IgG, which fight viruses and bacteria specifically. So it's not like it stimulates antibody production. It actually has antibodies in it. And the one that people take is from cows. It's called bovine colostrum, but it's been studied and shown to be essentially identical to human colostrum. And also has a ton of research, has I think over like 4,000 clinical studies around the world, not just for immune boosting, but it's been studied on all sorts of other different diseases. And ironically, a lot of the components of colostrum, like interferon, gamma globulins, growth hormone, protease inhibitors. They've all been isolated from colostrum and used for varying diseases, like the protease inhibitors that are used for HIV. So
Yeah.
it has a lot of very very powerful, important compounds in it. And when you think of how it's used, it's used in the very initial stages of life when when a newborn's immune system is still very immature. So it relies on mother's breast milk, but specifically colostrum, for growth factors and antibodies to fight any infection until the newborn starts to produce his or her own immune cells, at about 6 months of age. Yeah, 6 months. So it's very important, and so dosing is well. First of all, let me talk about buying it. It's fairly expensive. It can range from like $50 to $100 for 16 ounces. It works. It works. It's just it's pricey for most people. The one I like is by Sovereign Labs, and they make a colostrum that you can take I believe it's 2 teaspoons twice a day on an empty stomach. But if it's a milk product though, so it has it's going to have lactose, so people are lactose intolerant are going to have issues with it. But it's very good. You just have to be careful of what you're buying, because some of the colostrum out there is made, from conventional cows that are, pumped full of hormones and eating grass that has pesticides and things like that. So, and you're ingesting that. So, just be careful with the brand you buy. But that's definitely a supplement that, given its price, you maybe can just reserve it for when you're sick. But it's also something that if you can afford it, you can take it every day if you want.
That's actually pretty awesome, because we do get when we always resort to like medication, but this is kind of like a natural product that you can get, to kind of boost your immune system. And if you do end up sick, you can just go ahead and just take a couple, and it'll prolong the days that you actually are sick. And it just, when your immune system gets boosted, then you have a much better fight. Your body has a much better fighting chance. So.
Yeah, exactly. And it's used for other things. One of the popular things it's being used for lately is anti-aging purposes. People just taking it.
Really?
It has a lot of growth factors in it that that help with cell regeneration, specifically your skin cells. So it can be used in that respect, and it's used for a lot of GI disorders, leaky gut, and things like that. So it has a lot of different uses, and it's been studied for many different things. But its main use has been to boost the immune system. So that's my number 4.
What's number 5?
Number five is something called N-acetylcysteine, also known as NAC, N-A-C. What NAC is, it's just a form of the amino acid cysteine. And it works, it supports the immune system in 2 ways, so it works 2 ways. So it replenishes something called glutathione, which is one of the body's most important antioxidants, just kind of like vitamin C is an antioxidant. This is an even more powerful antioxidant. And so as an antioxidant, it assists immune cells in protecting them against the toxic byproducts of cellular metabolism. But another way that it works is NAC has been shown to have a direct cytotoxic effect on cells, meaning it kills cells directly, viruses, bacteria, etc. So that's how it works. Ironically, it's been studied most in people with HIV.
Really?
Yep. And in studies with patients with HIV, the ones who got NAC had almost a complete restoration of their natural killer cells, whereas the study participants getting placebo didn't see that. And then NAC also has been shown to kind of affect the virus's ability to replicate. And then let's see, one study, they used NAC to protect against the flu, and it was like 260 adults, and they were given either placebo or 1,200 milligrams of NAC for 6 months, and the NAC group saw a significant decrease in the flu frequency and severity compared to placebo. Huge
Wow.
effect. So just a lot of research on NAC, and specifically in people who have HIV. And dosing is pretty straightforward. They recommend 600 to 1,200 milligrams twice a day.
Okay.
Pure Encapsulations is a good company. They make a good NAC supplement. So, not one that a lot of people have heard of. Like, have you ever heard of NAC?
No, I haven't.
No. I think the first three, vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc, obviously people have heard of. But colostrum and NAC are probably two that still very, very effective and have a lot of research to back them, but I don't think are nearly as popular.
And what do you think that is, though?
Well, I think with colostrum,
Is it just a rich person's drug?
yeah, it's a cost.
That's
The cost is a big issue. With NAC, I don't know. I don't know why people don't really, when they talk about immune boosting supplements, NAC doesn't automatically come up. But it's very, very important. Okay,
all right.
so
Moving forward.
we're moving on to number 6. Number 6 is vitamin A. Vitamin A affects basically the proliferation and activation of T and B lymphocytes, especially the ones in your gut, because your gut has a lot of immune cells. Because you ingest a lot of bacteria, viruses, a lot of pathogens. So your body has almost like a separate immune system in its gut to kind of neutralize any pathogens that enter the GI tract. Because if you don't neutralize them there, then they're going to pass through the GI tract into the bloodstream. So the GI tract has its own immune system, and vitamin A is very intimately involved in the immune system of the
wow.
gut.
That's interesting. I mean, that's why they always like these weird things with your gut, where they'll put like somebody else's poop.
Oh yeah, that's very extreme. That's very extreme. But yeah, fecal transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, people with refractory cases of C. diff have been cured with that. But yeah, I mean that's basically part of it. You're introducing somebody else's immune system via poop.
Yeah, this is crazy.
I know it is crazy, but it actually works. So vitamin A kind of works like zinc. It kind of works at the DNA level. And one other note about the gut, a lot of people actually have malabsorption issues. They don't produce enough digestive enzymes, so it's hard for a lot of people to digest micronutrients like vitamins and minerals and absorb them. And vitamin A is one of the ones that is affected most by malabsorption. So that's another one, along with vitamin D, that you're going to want to get tested. It's also similar to vitamin D in that it's fat soluble. So if you take too much, it's going to build up in your fat stores and be potentially toxic. So you don't. With vitamin A is a little different. You don't want to overdose on it, because you can become toxic pretty quickly. So you're going to want to know your levels. But
did we talk about dosing for NAC?
Did we talk about dosing for NAC? I thought we did, yeah. So it's 600 to 1,200 milligrams, like twice a day of NAC. That's kind of the standard dosing recommendation. Yeah, I've not with vitamin D, and vitamin C, and even zinc. I've seen dosages all over the place. With NAC, it's pretty standard. It's like 600 to 1,200. Actually, 600 or 1,200 twice a day. That's the standard recommendation.
And what about for vitamin A?
So for vitamin A, if you get tested and you're low, there's different ways to supplement. So if you're low because of malabsorption, then there's a whole protocol for getting it intramuscular. So it's basically you do 100,000 IUs intramuscularly for
Mm.
3 days, then 50,000 IU for 2 weeks, and then followed by...
So that's not a pill, that's a shot.
That's a shot, and then you go to 10 to 20,000 IU for 2 months, and then eventually 3,000 IU.
And again, you wouldn't know unless
you get
you
your levels
get tested.
Yeah.
And so do you have to go to your doctor, I want my levels tested for all of them, or can you say, hey, can you test me for my vitamin levels? Or
Yeah, so
I mean, how
if
do
you go
you-
to any lab test now, I don't know if they have micronutrient levels. They do have vitamin D. They probably have vitamin A, like the common ones, maybe B12 and folate. Those are also common. But you can get all your vitamins and minerals levels checked. But usually PCPs don't do that. That's a little bit out of their scope, because that's getting into more like clinical nutrition. So either, a functional medicine doctor or a clinical nutritionist, or maybe a chiropractor. Some chiropractors delve into nutrition. So there's certain types of practitioners out there who will order it and know how to order it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, your PCP probably doesn't know how to order it, because it's just not something that they commonly do outside of the vitamin A, vitamin D, B12, folate. Outside of those standard ones, PCPs in general don't test other micronutrient levels.
But
They should,
it doesn't hurt to ask, I guess, right?
Yeah, so you might find a good PCP that's knowledgeable about it. It's all about just being knowledgeable about it.
There's Google now these days, so my doctor Googles things all the time in front of me.
I Google things in the ER all the time.
She does,
all
and
the time.
I don't mind it. If I ask her a question, or if she's trying to figure out a dosing, or like if this pill's gonna have a minute, she's like, okay, hold on, let me. This is what I want. She searched something, and she knows the particular websites to go to find her the information. It's
Right.
She just needs to be able to find. But
I've been practicing for 15 years, 18 counting residency, and back in the day before the internet, when I had to look something up, I'd bust out a textbook and try and find it in there. And now, when something comes up, I need to look something up, I can go straight to the internet.
Google, if you're listening to this, if you want to advertise on this show.
So Dr. Google is very useful. Unfortunately, a lot of patients will come in who have also Googled their symptoms, and they think they're dying or have cancer or something.
Well, I say that it's okay for my doctor. My doctor is aware of the site to go to. She's aware of what to kind of look for, and there's certain things that she's like, oh, this is it. Oh no, this is not what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll hit back and redo it. But it's information for you guys as well too. But it's also when your patients come in and they're like, hey, I had cancer, or hey, I Googled this and I may have whatever.
Happens.
Calm down.
Happens all the time. I get every day in the ER. I get somebody who's Googled their symptoms and think they have cancer or are about to die. It's a daily occurrence.
Don't die. So,
daily occurrence.
what was the doses for vitamin A again?
So vitamin A. So anyways, if you're deficient, there's protocols to.
That's the IU. That's the
Yeah, so it's like it's 100,000 and then 50 and then down to
intermuscle.
down to 10 intramuscular.
That's a shot.
But just for the average person, 3,000 IUs per day is good enough, and you can get that in a multivitamin.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to supplement with vitamin D unless you're deficient. And if you're deficient and it's not because of malabsorption, then you can supplement with just higher oral doses. But if you've got issues with absorption, then you need intramuscular vitamin A. So, but again, that's like vitamin D. You could be walking around with deficient vitamin A levels, you don't even know it, and your immune system is suffering. And then come wintertime, you're going to get sick easier. So, this is also a good one to know your levels on.
Do you know what kind of studies have shown on vitamin A?
Vitamin, yeah. There's just there's a lot of studies they show that really supplementation should be used for correcting deficiencies and not necessarily supplementing over and above daily doses. So vitamin A isn't one that you can kind of mega dose on when you're sick. All the studies have showed that it's better for prevention. But again, there's a lot of different research studies on vitamin A and the immune system. You can just kind of look them up on Dr. Google if you're really interested in learning more about vitamin A.
What's all right? So let's jump to number 7.
Number 7. Okay, so number 7 is B6, vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine. And people know vitamin B6 because it's one of the ones you supplement with when you're pregnant, you know. But it's a catalyst for multiple biochemical reactions in the immune system, especially involving T cells and neutrophils, and it also helps manufacture antibodies. So it's B6 and B12 are the 2 B vitamins that are that affect your immune system. Like colostrum, B6 has been studied in HIV, and it's also been studied a lot in autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis. They've done many studies. There was one where they did high-dose vitamin B6, which is 100 milligrams per day, and that boosted the immunity of ICU patients. They had less markers of infection, and the duration of illness shortened. So there's a lot of research with B6. Not as much as vitamin C and vitamin D and zinc, but there's still enough evidence to show that it's a good supplement to take. And being a B vitamin, like vitamin C, it's water soluble, so you can't overdose on B vitamins. So
that's interesting. And
yeah,
it comes as a capsule or like as a pill. I mean,
I mean, there's different ways supplements come. Supplements can come in capsules, in pills, tablets,
okay.
Powders. You know, there's different ways to take supplements. And so again, this is another one where it's good to know your levels. It's not as crucial as vitamin D or vitamin A, because if you take more vitamin A or D than you need, you can become toxic. But with the B vitamins, you really can't. So you can, in other words, you can kind of mega dose on it without knowing your levels, and you'll still be okay, right? But if you're going to measure your vitamin D levels and vitamin A, you might as well do your B vitamin levels, which you can do, which is very useful. For immune boosting, you can do 25 milligrams daily, and then you can drop back down to like, I think a standard dose is like 2.5 milligrams a day, which is what you would get in a normal B complex supplement. But you can take B6 separately when you're sick for an immune boost.
Okay.
Yeah. So B vitamins, they have a lot of besides the immune system, they have a lot of different. They're catalysts for a lot of different reactions in the body. So it's good to supplement. That's one of the supplements that you really should take on a daily basis. And then again, when you're sick, you can take a little bit more.
All right. Number 8.
All right. So number 8. Now we're kind of going away from vitamins and minerals. We're going to talk about a couple of herbs.
Okay.
You may or may not have heard of this, but there's actually a lot of research behind it, and I was actually surprised at how much research there is out there. But it's elderberry.
Okay.
Also known as black elderberry, also known as sambucus.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's just like this dark blue purple berry that works in a few different ways in relation to the immune system. So the berry itself has high levels of vitamin C and antioxidants. And we were already talking about vitamin C and how it works for the immune system. But elderberries also contain something called a hemagglutinin protein. And this protein basically binds to cellular receptors on the surface of a cell, preventing viruses from attaching to the cell and entering the cell. Because that's how viruses replicate. They need access to your cells, right? And so elderberries produce these, or contain these specific proteins which block the virus from binding to cells, preventing them from replicating. And this has been studied both in vitro, meaning in a test tube,
Yeah.
And in vivo, in clinical studies with real people. So yeah, I was very surprised about elderberry. I knew it was out there as a immune system booster, and I know they have it. I've seen it at Whole Foods. It's not anything I've ever taken, but when I started to look into it and realized why so many people are proponents of it is because it's backed by a lot of research. So it's interesting. I guess you can call it an herb. Again, like the others, like vitamin D and zinc, it reduces both the duration and the severity of symptoms of the cold and flu. They did one study, it was in, I think it was in Norway, where they randomized people to get either elderberry syrup or placebo, and the majority of the people taking the elderberry had decreased influenza symptoms within 2 days, whereas the placebo group had the symptoms for a duration of 6 days. So that's quite a difference. That's just one study. You know, there's several studies out there showing, you know, it compared to placebo, there's a statistically significant, huge difference in all sorts of outcomes: duration of illness, the severity. But elderberry is not something you need to take every day as part of your normal daily supplement. This is something where, you know, based on how it acts, using these proteins that it has to block the virus, you can certainly take it during the flu season. You can certainly take it when you're starting to get sick, but it's not anything that you need to take year round. You know, unlike, you know, vitamin D and zinc and all the others that are good to supplement with on a daily basis. Elderberry is something that you can just kind of take whenever you think you need it, or during the flu season, you know. So, and also all the supplements I've taken, as far as like in the syrup variety, it's extremely sweet, overpoweringly sweet. It's nothing that really you would want to take every day. But there's a company called Gaia Herbs, Gaia, and they have a black elderberry in capsule form.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. So
Better.
yeah, and so that particular supplement, they recommend 2 capsules twice a day for intensive support of the flu when you get symptoms. So
elderberry.
Yeah, elderberry, and so that's an interesting one. I have, since I did research on it, I have started using it. I've used it a couple times when I started to get sick.
You've seen improvement.
Yeah, I think I saw an improvement. I mean, again, it's subjective, but there's a lot of research out there that says it works, so it probably did work, you know. So that's my number 8. So we've got 2 left.
I know we're going through these like wildfire.
Yeah, we are. So number 9. I think people might have heard of it. You ever heard of echinacea?
I've never heard of echinacea. Well, I mean, I have heard of it because you said the last time, but
that's right.
But
outside of the previous talk and this talk, you have not.
I have not.
Yeah, I mean, it's one that's I think people know about it, but
echinacea. How do you spell echinacea?
Yeah, it's ECHINACEA. Echinacea.
Echinacea.
Yeah, what it does, it stimulates macrophages. Macrophages are they're particular immune cells which kind of like gobble up viruses, and so they act on macrophages. The research is interesting. It's kind of like elderberry, where it's more of a supplement that you take to. I'm sorry, it's not like elderberry. It's an herb like elderberry, but it works better for prevention.
Okay, so this is more of a prevention than anything.
Yeah, this is more of a supplement that you can take, kind of like vitamin C, on a daily basis. When you get the flu and a cold, it doesn't really have any direct activity against bacteria or viruses when you are sick. So again, this is more kind of a preventative type of supplement. But again, has a lot of research backing it, and the typical dose is about 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day. And there's a company called California Gold Nutrition, which has an echinacea supplement, which is supposed to be good. Are we still on?
Yeah.
We
got, yeah.
Okay, you're looking at something.
No, sorry. I was just making sure we're still recording so that we can upload this to YouTube.
Got it. Okay, and so the last one is another B vitamin. I mentioned it earlier. It's B12. It's my number 10 because it has a lot of research backing it, but it's a lot of in vitro research, meaning test tube research. So in test tubes, it works fantastic. There's just not a lot of clinical research that shows, okay, if I supplement with B12, the effects that we see in vitro are actually going to be translated in vivo or duplicated. But in vitro, there's a lot of studies. What it does is it stimulates T lymphocytes, your CD8 cells, natural killer cell activity. And I'm throwing out names of all these different immune cells, and it's not really that important, only to say that there's many different types of immune cells, and certain supplements act on B and T cells, some act on macrophages, some act on natural killer cells. So there's different cells that are involved in the immune response, and all these different supplements affect various cells in various ways. And so B12 has been shown, in vitro to increase natural killer cell activity in some other cells like CD8 cells. For vegetarians, it's hard to consume enough B12, because it's contained in eggs, meat, shellfish, dairy. So especially if you're a vegetarian, you're going to want to know your levels.
For B12.
For B12, yeah, because it can cause other things besides immune dysfunction. It can cause a particular form of anemia. So B12 is a common nutrient that's tested by PCPs, so that's not anything that should be difficult to get tested. But again, you can go to any lab test now and get it tested there. But if you are deficient, again, there's protocols where you can get B12 injections by your PCP to raise your levels. And again, good companies, Biotics Research. They make a lot of very good minerals. They make a good B12 supplement. But the recommended dose, if you're not deficient, is 2.5 micrograms a day or something like that. But again, if you're deficient, there's protocols like vitamin A deficiency where you will get weekly injections and things like
Doesn't
that.
Doesn't B12 help you lose is it like a weight loss as well too?
Is it involved in metabolism? I don't know. I have to look that up. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. Good question.
I may be wrong. I just always think when you go to those weight loss doctors, I thought it was always B12 that they talk about.
Well, the misconception with B12 is that it gives you quote unquote energy. And basically what it does is if you have pernicious anemia, which is the anemia caused by B12 deficiency, the anemia itself is going to make you feel weak, obviously. So if you get a B12 injection and your body can start producing some red blood cells, you're not going to be weak anymore. So that's how it technically gives you a quote-unquote energy boost, but a B12 shot is not like drinking a Red Bull.
Okay.
But people think it is. I want a B12 shot so I can have some energy. It doesn't work that way.
Breaking news, guys. Breaking news.
So that's my top 10.
Yeah.
There's there's more supplements out there that people talk about for boosting your immune system, like probiotics. There's really no research on probiotics, but everybody takes them. Makes sense to take them, right? Yeah. I'll even take them if I travel or if I take a course of antibiotics. You can at Whole Foods you can get a 5-day intensive course of probiotics. and to replenish the good bacteria in your gut. It's good to do that every once in a while, just to make sure you have a proper, intestinal flora. And you can obviously supplement with probiotics all the time, you know. But there being that you're replenishing all your cells of your gut, some of them are going to be immune cells, or assist in the immune system. So it makes sense that probiotics work to boost your immune system. There's just no research on probiotics, but people take them, and they probably work to boost your immune system for sure. There's others like astragalus, which is a plant related to legumes or beans, which is used a lot in traditional Chinese medicine to boost your immune system. Not too much research done, so I don't know too much about it, so can't recommend it, but that's out there. Another one that's really controversial is colloidal silver. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but
No.
Again, in vitro test tubes, it's shown to have antiviral properties. Does it work when you take it? When you take it as a supplement, maybe not. Some people swear by it. There's not a lot of research out there. Another one is oil of oregano, very powerful antiviral in test tubes. But a lot of people swear by it, and maybe it does work. I just, for purposes of this talk, since there's not too much research backing it, I'm not going to recommend it. But hey,
Yeah, if it works for
if
you.
it works for you,
it works
great,
for you.
And it probably does work. It just needs some studies to get it, to make it, to legitimize it. And then there's others: ginger, ginseng, licorice root, golden seal, olive leaf extract, omega-3s, garlic. All these things are out there as immune boosters. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. I don't know. There's just not a lot of research on it. But the 10 I gave you have a lot of research, especially the top ones. Those are the ones we know for sure work for the immune system. Those are the best bang for your buck.
Also, what we talked about is that these vitamins are not FDA approved, right? And so when we're looking to get vitamins, we want to make sure that they are high quality.
Well, what do you mean by FDA approved?
I don't know, like they don't have to go through like this rigorous background of making sure that what they say that they do.
Well, that's historically there's been very little regulation of supplements. Over the past decade, there's been more stringent regulation and all these new and different standards like the GMP standard and a lot of different governing bodies that will certify companies and confirm the purity and the dosages and things like that. So there's more regulation, but like I said in the very beginning, there's still a lot of junk out there, the stuff that's sold at CVS that you want to kind of stay away from. Because really you're just wasting your money, You go to Whole Foods and get a supplement there, it's going to be more expensive. Yeah, but they carry supplements that are good quality. So you pay a little bit more, but you're getting what it says you're supposed to be getting. You buy something at CVS, it might not be, you might not have, the dosage in there is not what the manufacturer claims, or there's some impurities, or it's not an absorbable form of the vitamin, like the zinc sulfate, the sunscreen that is being sold as a supplement. So you're basically throwing your money away when you buy those types of things. So, another way you can get cheap supplements is there's a website called Emerson Ecologics. And the average person can't log into that website. You have to be some type of clinician.
Oh, okay.
But what you can do is you tell your primary care doctor to register on the website, and then through his account, you can buy supplements up to, I think, 30%. And that website has they carry only supplements that's sold that's not sold to the general public. It's sold only to clinicians. MDs, clinical nutritionists, chiropractors. If you're any kind of clinical practitioner with a license, you can register on that website, and then if that's your PCP or whoever it is, you can get cheap quality supplements through their account on that website. So that's something that you might want to bring up with your PCP. So Emerson Ecologics. And they don't have every supplement out there, but they have a lot of the top ones.
And then also I wanted to throw out there that to making sure that please advise your doctor about any supplements that you may be taking when discussing management of your HIV medication.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't even touch on that, but there's some that may interact with absorption, and so you have to take them at the right time. And as far as supplements in general, just a good rule of thumb is if it's a vitamin or a mineral, you want to take it with food, because it'll get absorbed better. If it's an herb or something like colostrum, then you want to take it on an empty stomach because food will interfere with the absorption. So in general, if it's any kind of herb, you want to take it on an empty stomach, and if it's any kind of vitamin or mineral, you want to take it with food. And then ideally, you want to divide it in doses. You don't want to take a gigantic whopping dose at once. So it's always better to kind of split things up into 2 or 3 doses per day. Like for example, if you're overdosing on vitamin D when you're sick, instead of taking 50,000 units at once, you can do 25 in the morning, 25 in the evening, something like that. So you always want to spread out your supplements because you can only absorb so much, and the rest you're just gonna like poop out. So you don't want to take massive doses at once.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else you have for us?
What else can we talk about? We went through my top 10. Do we take calls?
We do, but no one has called at all.
No one has called. No one's interested. It's flu season.
I know.
We're talking about supplements to boost your immune system, and nobody's calling.
Nobody has called at all. People are, I don't know what they're doing.
Unbelievable.
I know, but we will get a lot of messages afterwards talking about. At least we'll have you on YouTube, and we'll be able to discuss. We'll get to answer questions, and I may be nice and answer them. But we can cut the show a little bit short.
Sure. How long have we been going at it for?
Almost an hour.
Almost an hour. Yeah.
If you're listening to us, we normally will be cutting out at 9:30, but we're gonna cut a little bit early today. And I just want to thank Carlo again for coming on our show again, and being such a great sport and informing us about what we need to do about supplements and how to boost your immune system, especially during this flu season. I would also like to thank everybody who donated. We had like 28 people who donated towards the Thanksgiving campaign for Thomas Street. It was anywhere between $16 and $250 that people donated, in anywhere between them, $30, $50, $100. And we collected, I think it was almost $1,000 towards the Thanksgiving. And so just the turkeys alone was like 700 and something. It's like $32 a turkey. Times 26, it gives you a pretty good number. And so it covers that. It also covers the catering. The catering is also expensive. We have to cover that. But we're just so appreciative of everybody who donated. And it's not too late still to donate. So if you would like to donate towards us, we're still accepting cash, check, Venmo. Get a hold of me if you would like to donate. Food is just not an option anymore, just because we've purchased everything already. But if you'd like to make a monetary donation, cost of the food that was purchased, please contact Pause Impact, or you can call me directly. My number is 832-573-7274. And yes.
Actually, I do want to mention a couple things.
Yes.
Not necessarily related to supplements, but since we're talking about the flu virus and we're entering the flu season, and we have a little bit of time, if you don't mind, let me just go over a few basic things to prevent you from getting the flu.
Yes. Yes, please.
In addition to
taking
supplements. And these are just kind of common sense stuff, but basically you're going to try and mitigate the transmission of the flu, and there's several ways you can do that. Obviously, washing your hands a lot, but don't lick your fingers, don't rub your eyes, because if you have one little virus particle on the tip of your finger from touching a countertop that somebody just sneezed or coughed on, and you lick that finger or you rub your eye with that finger, that virus is going to get in your bloodstream very easily and you're going to get the flu. It's even just one particle. So I always tell people, don't lick your fingers, don't touch your eyes, don't rub your eyes. And then wash your hands a lot, you know, because the flu virus or
Hand
other
soap or
viruses,
just hand sanitizer?
you can do either hand sanitizer or just even regular soap works. Doesn't have to be antibacterial soap. A lot of people are now doing cleaning their house with like half and half water and vinegar, which is good. But you can do bleach wipes. You can do Lysol. Wipe down your countertops. Wipe down the doorknobs. Anything that people touch frequently, you want to kind of wipe them down. And then, especially if you have like a big family with a lot of kids that are going up to go to school or daycare, and they come back with, you know, a virus, so you kind of want to prevent the transmission to your other family members. So, you know, cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. Wash your hands. Don't lick your fingers. Don't rub your eyes. Those are some things to prevent transmission. And then basic lifestyle stuff that's going to boost your immune system, like get plenty of sleep. Okay, sleep is when your body repairs itself. It's when your body produces your white blood cells and all your immune cells. That's when it produces it. It doesn't produce them during the day. It produces them when you're sleeping, when you're in your stage 3 and 4 sleep, your deep sleep. That's the restorative sleep. That's when your body starts producing all cells, you know, especially your immune cells. So sleep, you know, sleep is a key. It's such a no-brainer, but really try and get enough sleep. That's going to be, you know, this probably the single most important thing to boost your immune system is sleep. Because, you know, when you're stressed and you're sleep deprived, that's when you get sick, you know. Why? Because stress, sleep deprivation, it all, you know, it affects your immune system.
Yeah, it all adds up.
You know, and then in the wintertime, the cold weather is a stress on the body, and you know, that decreases your immune system. The forced hot air from the heating system in your house is going to dry up your nasal passages, and that's going to make it easier for viruses to get into your lungs. And then also the barometric pressure is different during the winter, so viral particles like float around the air longer. So there's many different reasons why, you know, in the winter time people get sick, and also people are huddled together, you know, more closely together indoors as opposed to being out and about. And so transmission of viruses is a lot easier during the wintertime. So so there's many reasons why, you know, people get sick during the winter, and it's just a matter of kind of taking care of yourself and making sure your immune system is working properly, both with, you know, with supplements and with proper sleep, and, you know, trying to manage your stress with whatever ways you manage your stress. Some people do relaxation, some people go to the gym, some people read, whatever. You know, just make sure you relax a little bit and don't go and run yourself down and you get sick. So, so those are some basic things you can do to just basic common sense things to do to prevent transmission and boost your immune system. Yeah, in addition to the 10 supplements we talked about.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think it's sometimes it's just a refresher course just to take, to make sure that you wash your hands, make sure you cover your mouth, make sure if you do have these kids, and just like my cousin, they got two children go to daycare, and I feel like they're always sick.
Always sick.
And if one gets sick, then the parents start getting sick.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now I'm gonna be like, look, she's gonna listen to the show, and I'm gonna make sure I tell her, look, wipe down the knobs, wipe down, like
countertops.
The countertops.
Yeah.
Because that's where, like if you just rub your eye, or if you lick your fingers, or if they put their fingers in your mouth.
That too. That's what I didn't mention, but yeah. When children stick their fingers in your mouth, yes, that's also bad. Try and avoid that.
I mean, they do it to me all the time, these children.
Yeah, and let me see a few other things.
Yeah.
Being an emergency physician, I see hundreds of cases of the flu during the wintertime. And if you want to come to the emergency room when you have the flu, you're more than welcome to, but there's not much we can do for you. Tamiflu, it works if you take it within the first 48 hours. Beyond that, it's useless. It might, and even if you take it within the time window, it maybe will shorten the duration of the illness, maybe a day. So that's all we've got, you know. And unfortunately, Tamiflu really should be reserved for people that really need it, you know, like children, the elderly, as opposed to just kind of giving it out like water and then causing resistance to it.
Yeah.
You know. So unfortunately, people come in and they have certain expectations, and they have the flu. They want Tamiflu no matter what. So just remember, it's really only useful within the first 48 hours, and even then, it's really not that useful. So. You know, you're just better off. Everybody that comes in the air with the flu, I tell them, stay hydrated. If you don't want to eat, that's fine. If you don't have an appetite, that's fine, as long as you drink. Drink plenty of fluids. Gatorade, juice, whatever. Stay hydrated. Ibuprofen for the fever and body aches. And then do what I did when I was a kid. It's just like...
Wait it out.
Wait it out, lay in bed,
Yeah.
watch TV. I mean, there's really no reason to go to the ER and infect everybody else, you know. Having said that, people are still going to go to the ER with the flu, you know, but at least, you know,
Because they're dying.
people should know that there's really not much you can do, you know.
No, I
Really
mean,
not much you can
good information. So maybe somebody who's listening to this, who's thinking, should I not go? Don't go.
Yeah, unless you're elderly, or you know, you have a lot of comorbidities, a lot of medical problems, you know, heart disease, you're diabetic, you know, you have whatever, and you're sick, then maybe it's a good idea to get checked out. But if you're an average healthy adult and you think you got the flu, you probably got the flu, you know. And there's also other viruses out there. So if you don't have the flu, you probably have a different virus.
Yeah.
There's more viruses out there than just the flu virus, the influenza virus. You know, there's just the regular cold virus, the rhinovirus. You know, there's all sorts of other viruses, coronavirus. The list goes on, and they're all harmless, and they're all, for the most part, harmless, and they're all self-limited. You know, so there's, you know, just suck it up. Suck it up. We've become, can I say pussy on
Yes,
on the
you
air?
can. Yeah.
We've become pussies.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, my dad used to say, you're sick? Okay, suck it up. Maybe you can miss school, but, you know, certainly this is not going to warrant going to the emergency room. You know, I think we've become just kind of conditioned to think that we need to run to the doctor or run to the emergency room every time we have a runny nose. Like, why? You know?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, you
know,
could,
then
contact your primary care.
Yeah. Then then you're going to end up getting an antibiotic that you don't need. You know, that can cause side effects and, you know, kill all your good bacteria in your gut, and, you know, there's a lot of downsides to antibiotics, and unfortunately we prescribe them like water.
So if you're sick, you know, try maybe one of these top 10 immune system boosters before you go to the doctor. And if you are still sick after 5 days, then maybe go see your physician.
Exactly. Try some of the things that we talked
Yeah.
about tonight. If you're sick, overdose on some zinc, get some vitamin C, and maybe take some elderberry, whatever. Try some things, you know. Try some things that are backed by research that we know work.
And that your physician is not going to prescribe it to you.
And exactly, you know, along with fluids and rest, and you'll get better. You know, that 95% of upper respiratory illnesses that people get are viral, and they resolve on their own. You don't need anything. You don't need a Z-Pack. So people need to remember that, and they're doing more harm than good by taking an antibiotic that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know, because again, antibiotics kill bacteria; they don't kill viruses.
And maybe if we start taking these on the regular, maybe if you know that you are someone that gets sick constantly, then maybe you should start taking some extra vitamins and some extra supplements so that you can see, okay, 6 months down the road, I haven't been sick. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe your vitamin D level's really low, maybe your vitamin
Yeah.
A level's low, and, you know, you just do some daily supplementing, and you boost your immune system that way. You might not get sick. You know, there's people out there that get sick all the time.
Yeah,
you know?
there is.
But, you know, maybe their vitamin D levels are low. Who knows, you know? So try some of those strategies first. But having said all that, you know, I do see people that come in with the flu that are, you know, very dehydrated from a high fever. And then some of them need IV fluids, an IV with IV fluids, and that's totally reasonable. the majority of the people that have the flu don't need to be there. I'm happy to see anybody that comes in the emergency room to make sure they're not, they're not dying. But in general, if you're a healthy adult and you think you got the flu, yeah, you should probably try some other things and stay home.
Again, go to the emergency room if you do feel like you need to. But also, I worked in the emergency room as well too, and I know that there's a lot of people that come in there for a pregnancy test, or they think that they're pregnant and they want to find out. They want to have an ultrasound.
Oh, yeah.
What? Okay.
Abuse of the emergency room. That's a whole nother topic that we can talk about next time. We can do a whole nother show.
Yes.
The abuse of the healthcare system.
Yeah, maybe that's a good show to have on. I can have a couple of practitioners and different MDs and nurses and pharmacy as well too, because pharmacy is a big. Even though they don't really get to see it, they're the ones that are prescribing other stuff, or they're the ones that are handling.
Yeah.
And see what they're prescribed and how to maybe eliminate some of that overprescribingness. Go instead of doing this, maybe I should start thinking of this. So maybe have a healthy conversation with all the healthcare providers out there.
We can do that.
Anything else that you want to talk about real quick?
We can do right now. No, I think we've covered a lot of stuff. We can even do a whole talk on sleep.
Yeah.
There's supplements for sleep, different sleep hygiene strategies to help you get better sleep, because sleep is so important.
I mean,
so important.
They say you need like 8 hours of sleep, right, every day.
Yeah, about that.
6 to 8.
Everybody's different, but yeah, around I don't know, 7 or 8. I think is what's recommended. But sleep is so important that we could literally do a whole show on sleep. Maybe we could do that one next.
Yeah, I think we can have Ramirez in here, and maybe he can take some advice from that. He's Mr. COPD.
Our good friend Adam doesn't sleep very well.
He does not sleep very well, but that's a whole different show. But thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun, and hopefully you get some questions that we can answer on the next show. Yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so this will be the end of Pause Impact. Thank you for listening to us. We'll be back next Monday from 7:30 to 9:30. We're going to be having Antonio T. Smith Jr. He has an online business university that he wants to create 10,000 millionaires. So if you're looking to make $10,000 a month, that's already cut off. Okay. Please contact Antonio T. He's gonna be on our show, an exclusive show, next Monday from 7:30 to 9:30. He is also running for president of the United States. He has an incredible background behind him, and we're so lucky to have him back on our show. So you're gonna want to make sure you tune in. And if you're looking to make $10,000 a month, this is not a scam. He is literally trying to make people millionaires out there. He has a business university that talks to you the real stuff that you need to know about how to increase your business, especially if you are self-employed or if you're looking to advance your career. This is the university for you. Well, until next time, it's been a pleasure, and thank you, Carlo, for being a guest, and thank you so much for all that really good information and back that advice.
You're welcome.
It's off. You have to turn it on.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, that's it, guys.